All right, factoring continued. We looked last at GCF and grouping. Well, we're next going to look at something for two terms. Now, most of the time, two terms are taken care of by grouping. But when they're not, it's something called difference of squares. Special case scenario. Now, difference of squares has three criteria. The front term has to be a perfect square. The back term has to be a perfect square. And it has to be a minus in between. So x squared, well, yeah, that says it's squared. 16, is 16 a square? Perfect square? It sure is. 4 times 4. So here's how easy it is. And by the way, what was third issue? I said it has to have a minus, negative in between. It does, doesn't it? So I square root the front, so x squared gets a single x and a single x, and I square root the back, and I see a 4 and a 4, and then I get one of each term. One of each. That's how easy a difference of squares factors once you learn how to spot the pattern. Okay? Let's look at another one. Is this a difference of squares? It's two terms. Is the front a perfect square? Well, 4 is. And we've got next square. So yeah, the front's a perfect square. 81. Is 81 a perfect square? Answer is yes. So, last thing is there a minus in between them? Sure is. So I square root the front. Square root of 4 is 2, in this case 2x. That goes to both fronts. Square root of 81 is 9. That goes to both backs. And again, 1 of each sign. 1 plus, 1 minus. Now, we also have something called primes. A prime polynomial is one that can't be factored. Guess what? That is prime. It looks very similar to this guy, but what's the one difference? There's a plus. So not all polynomials can be torn apart through factoring. Okay? Now, the biggest part of this video is going to be something called trinomials. And the first step is to know if the front is 1. In this case, it's a 1x. We don't write that 1, but it's a 1. So first case scenarios is when the x squared is a 1x squared. We only have to worry about the factors of the back. So run the factors of the back. I see 1 and 14, 2 and 7, 3 go into 14, no. 4, no. 5, no. 6, no. 7, there we go. We wrap around. I count down through here until I get to where I wrap around, where the next number is next line sequence. If I do that every single time, I don't miss any of the factors. Now, here's something that no one ever told me. They always used to say you have to do the trial and error. In other words, guessing games. I'm going to tell you there's actual rules. If the tail is a plus, that means you're going to look for factors that add to the middle. So this is a plus 14, so the factors of 14 are going to add to 9. 1 plus 14 does not equal 9, but 2 and 7 does. All right, so that means it's factorable. I have an x in front of each one. I have a 2 and a 7. Now, the plus also says the signs in both these parentheses are going to be the same. To get negative 9, that means both of these guys have to be negative. If that 9 had been a plus, then both of these would have been a plus. Okay? So let's try another one. Again, the number in front of the x squared is a 1. So all I got to do is worry about the tail. Factors of 48. I see 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12. 5 go into 48? No. 6 go into 48? Yeah. 6 and 8. 7? No. 8, there's my wraparound. It's the next one in sequence. So how does this work? Remember, if it was a plus, it added. Well, this is a minus, so guess what? Minus says you subtract. This time it's going to subtract to 8, the middle term. Also, the plus is going to tell you the bigger number gets the plus, and the smaller one gets the minus. So it's telling us everything we need to know. Because it says signs the same. This says the signs are different. So 48 minus 1, not 8. 24 minus 2, not 8. 16 minus 3, not 8. 12 minus 4, that's 8. So this becomes x in the front. Remember, I've already even got the signs looking at me. Minus 4 plus 12. Now, to check these, you do the middle 2 steps of FOIL. Negative 4x plus 12x. Negative 4 plus 12 gives me 8x. Is that not the middle term? This is referred to as a joke as the belly button. It's the belly button check. Because if you draw a smiley face, then you get the belly button underneath. All right? Okay. We've looked at one scenario of each. Let's keep going. All right. When x squared doesn't have a 1, this is where it gets complicated. Now, old method says we do trial and error. We run all the factors of 6, which would be 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and all the factors of 25, which is 1 and 25, 5 and 5, and 25 and 1. We have to run all of them in comparison to all these. Well, this isn't too bad considering we have 2 up front, 3 in back. That means we have 6 possible combinations. I'm about to tell you there's a different way. And some people call it reverse FOIL. Others have called it the AC method. AC method is because this is the A term, that is the C term. You go A times C, so 6 times 25 gives you 150. You run the factors of 150. Remember what it said? Count down. 1 and 50, 2 and 75, 3 and 50, 4, nope, 4 doesn't go into it. 5, yep, 5 and 30. 6 go into it? Yes, it does. 6 and 25 is how we got in the first place. 7 go into it? No. 8 go into it? No. 9 go into it? No. 10? Yes, 10 and 15. 11? No. 12? No. 13? No. 14? No. 15 were wrapped around. So these are all the factors of 150. Most students think, oh man, that's going to take me forever. Nope, you see me do it. I counted down to I got to wrap around. And you see that this side counts down quick. So now, remember what I said? It has to add, right? That's a plus. That rule's still holding firm. It adds to 25. So 150 plus 1 is not. 75 plus 2, no. 3 and 50, no. 5 plus 30, not 25. 6 and 25, definitely not 25. 10 and 15? Yes. So here's how this works. Reverse FOIL. Remember, when you FOILed, you took two binomials, and when you multiplied it out, you had 4 terms. And then you combine like terms to get 3 terms. Well, we're going to do that in reverse. We're going to break a 3 term into 2 terms by using these. So since this is a 25, we have a 10x and a 15x. This says they're both negative. So let me rewrite that a little larger. I should have done that in the first place. So I went from 3 terms to 4 terms. Oh, wait, we have something in our toolkit that says how to handle 4 terms, and that means we group. So GCF is a 2x. What I divide by comes to the front. I end up with a 3x minus 5. GCF in the back, that's a 5. But if I do just 5, I'm going to have a negative 3. So that tells me I need a negative 5 to switch the signs, which will give me a positive 3x minus 5. The parentheses are now the same. So I get a 3x minus 5. And the leftovers go in the second. Now, the reason why I show this method, the trial and error can get very frustrating. Where this method, we're going from 3 terms to 4 terms, and we're reinforcing the idea of grouping, which is another term. This, I can tell you whether or not something can factor quickly instead of running the factors the front against the back to find out something is prime. That is agitating to me. I have spent too many years of my life to find out something didn't factor. So there's one. Let me do another one. We have a 9x squared minus 3x minus 2. Now this one would not be bad, I'll be honest, to do with the trial and error, because we have 9 and 2, and 2 is a prime number, so we're only dealing with 1 and 2 and 2 and 1. But let's look at this. 9 times 2 is 18, so I'm going to run the factors of negative 18. Because remember, it's a positive times a negative. So I have 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, 4, no, 5, no, 6, back around. Now remember before, they had to subtract to the middle. This also told me I had one of each sign, with the biggest one getting the sign of the middle. So this side gets the minus, this side gets the plus. Now, they're going to subtract to 3. Well, I'm going to start and cheat. I'm going to go to the bottom because I see 3 and 6. And 6 minus 3 is 3. So I'm going to break this apart. I see a 3x positive minus 6x minus 2, 9x squared. Again, I'm going to group. I see a 3x. What I divide by comes to the front. 9x squared divided by 3x leaves me a 3x. 3x divided by 3x leaves me a 1, not canceled. I see both of these have a negative. This is easy to spot. And then GCF is a 2, so a negative 2 is common to both. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 3x. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 1. A lot of times students do this and they cancel the second numbers out. No. So now the parentheses are the same, so I'm going to pull them out. Leftovers go in the second. All right, that is factoring in a nutshell.